This crowd rises to its feet. Vaccaro slammed it home. Garland left wing, free ball. Perfect! Garland front of the lane, lobbed to Mobley. Pow! And Allen blocked the shot at the rim. Pow! With the left hand and a foul.
Welcome to the Chase Down Podcast, part of the Cavs media family. I'm your host, Justin Rowan. The Chase Down is presented by Fubo, the official streaming partner of the Cavs. Watch over 350 channels of live sports and TV, including Bally Sports Ohio without cable. There's no cost and no commitment. Try for free at FuboTV.com/Cavs.
Uh-oh, the Cavs are playing playoff basketball.
Winning home court in the regular season is fun, but it's so much sweeter when you can do so in Game 2 against the Boston Celtics in the Boston Garden, one of the most hostile environments in the NBA. Hell of a win from the fellas. I saw ESPN tweeted that a 24-point win is the largest playoff win by a double-digit underdog since 1991. That's the year this here boy was born. Joining me today is my co-host, Carter Rodriguez. Carter, how you doing, buddy?
Donovan Mitchell, he's a bad man.
We got all the drops today, baby.
Oh, baby. What a win. What a win. Well, first off, as always, I cannot tell you how much I just hate Boston. And anytime you can bum out, tens of thousands of Bostonians, I'm a happy man. Just an absolute gritty win with the shot making from the guards that we knew they had in them. The committed playmaking, man, it's just felt so good. I mean, obviously Boston had a nightmare night from three, but even a decent night from three wasn't saving a win when the Cavs were up 30 points in the fourth quarter. And yeah. Yes, the Cavs shot the ball better. They only got up 28 threes. And I just thought they ground Boston into a pulp in this game. All the people that you needed to see good games from, you got good games from. And that's how you tie up a series 1-1 against a team that, I think lost 3 games at home this year, maybe 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a series, baby.
It's absolutely a series. This is a significant win to get. And, anytime that you are an underdog in the series, the thing we talked about kind of heading into this is you have to put yourself in position to capitalize. If the other team gives you an opening, you want to be able to, be within range, be within striking distance to get those upsets. Because anytime you do get an upset in the playoffs, that has a compounding effect where you get the first one, okay, you're feeling good. You get another one, all of a sudden you're putting more pressure on that team that's the favorite in the series. And we saw the inverse of that in the series against the Orlando Magic where, okay, we had dominant wins in games 1 and 2, took our foot off the gas in game 3. Game 4, was a little bit more of a back and forth game until Orlando kind of blew it open. And then all of a sudden, oh, it's a series. There's a lot of pressure on us, right? And that's something that you want to do. Anytime that you're not favored in a series, you want to make sure that you are staying in position to put pressure on that team and then continuing to apply that pressure. But this was a little bit different rather than like we're sticking by the door and if they crack it open, we can stick our foot in. We kicked the hell out of that door. We kicked that thing clean off its hinges. It smacked them right in the damn face. Like that is exactly what you want to see. And I think, you mentioned the shot making from the guards. I think that's an important point. I think that's good to get to at some point. But I think we have to go order of operations when it comes to this game because what we've talked about so many times is when you have a team that is built primarily around 2 guards, in order to beat the defenses that you will see in the playoffs, you need to have that front court playmaker. You need to have that guy that alleviates the pressure and changes what the defense is doing to the guards. And Evan Mobley, 11 points, 3 boards, and 4 assists in that first quarter. He did just that.
When the hell is Evan Mobley?
He is setting a career high in the playoffs, Perk. 21 points in the game. Obviously, just came out guns blazing, and I thought it was such a great answer. And that's why you keep playing out playoff games. Something I was disappointed about with the Orlando games in the first round was that they got so thoroughly blown off the line in that third quarter in game 3 that, they were it was garbage time started so early that you couldn't really have time to figure anything out. And Mobley had 10 points in the fourth of game 1. Where he started getting a little more decisive, started hitting some floaters, started to find his comfort level, and then lo and behold, he comes out and drops 11 in first quarter of game 2. And I gotta think there was something there to that. That he wasn't happy with his offensive performance through 3 quarters. He goes out there and plays really decisively to try to find himself some rhythm, and then he goes out and attacks. And early in this game, when Boston is just executing so well on the offensive end, I thought he really kept them in it and started leading the run. I mean, we joke about the Luke Cornett minutes. He was minus 12 and, made absolutely zero impact on defense in this game. And a lot of that is because Evan was just so much more clever in how he was attacking. I was just so proud of Evan. I thought his playmaking was really good. He set up some really great plays that didn't convert into assists on a 5-assist night. After a very, very rough opening salvo on offense, I thought the whole team settled down on defense, but he was the funnel. They really started sending guys to him, and he was showing, recovering, helping, digging, doing all the things that make him a transcendent defensive player. And I thought he was just so special in this game. Plus 35, dude. Come on. Come on, Justin.
You love to see it. And honestly, I think my favorite thing about Evan Mobley's game tonight is it didn't start great. Like, I thought early on, Garland kind of got him in the pocket, had kind of those opportunities where he could have gone up right away, and he would turn his back to the basket. And he actually threw 2 grenades to Garland where Garland's kind of still covered by Horford, and Garland pump fakes me. He's like, that's a 6'10" guy right in front of me. And I think one of them kind of led to Garland's lone turnover so far in this series. But I kind of like the irony of him throwing Garland a grenade, because sometimes Darius can force feed those passes when Evan doesn't have an advantage. And I was kind of sitting there being like, man, see, this is another example where Evan needs to just go up and just needs to score. But what I really like is the self-correction from Evan Mobley in that instance without going to the bench. It's not like there was, a timeout and kind of, all right, let's regroup, or, end of a shift. Come sit by the coach. Luke Walton's in your ear, telling you, all right, here's showing you on the iPad. This is, opportunities where he could have gone up. No, he understood that he needed to be more assertive there and understood what the Cavs need from him in that instance. And, this is another one of those games where it just felt like everybody kind of had a turn. Darius was only 2 of 4 in the first half. Donovan was 2 of 6 in the first half. Like, you weren't really getting a whole lot from them. But because Evan Mobley was so assertive and creating opportunities not only for himself and others, that elevated the Cavs and got them tied at halftime, right? And that's the version of Evan Mobley that elevates the Cavs to be able to hang with any team in the NBA. That is what they need from him on a consistent basis. And I understand it's more frustrating when, you see glimpses of what this team can be and they're not always there. But, that is part of the beauty. And I think the frustration is going to, be strong, and it's going to be something that we really feel. But you also have to kind of celebrate the breakthroughs, right? Because especially when they happen on this stage, that's the kind of thing that you keep in the back of your mind and you can carry forward in the future.
Yeah, and I like that you kind of mentioned that kind of everyone had their turn. And I know we're gonna run through the box score, but like to your point, Donovan and Darius are very quiet. They're not bad, but they're quiet. Well, I would argue Darius had a rough first half. Donovan was quiet in the first half. They combined to go 4 of 10 for 11 points in the first half. And it's like, if you had told me that going into the game, you just go like, okay, well, we're down. And instead, you're tied because you get 35 points from Isaac Okoro, Evan Mobley, and Karis LeVert. And that's just enough to carry you as far as you needed to go. Like, they didn't play perfect lineups. They didn't, this wasn't a wire-to-wire spanking either. And that's also what kind of makes it cool, is there were stretches where Boston really had control of this game. But again, the Cavs kind of kept fighting back, resettling, readjusting. That Marquise at 5, or sorry, Marcus at 5 lineup to start the second quarter. You get blown off the floor. Boston switching everything. They're keeping everything in front of them, and they start slipping screens a little bit more. They start rejecting the screens a little bit more. They just start messing with Boston's scheme. And I'm just so dang pleased. I know we're gonna get to the guards in the second half, but I really do feel like they forced some cards out of Missoula's pocket in this game, and that felt really good.
Yeah, they really did. And you're right. Like, this wasn't, out of reach the entirety of the game. Like, Boston within 12 in the fourth quarter, 7 minutes to go. That is still a manageable, margin of error. And, that's something that they can close pretty easily. And Max Strus, who was having a difficult game, hit some really important threes in that stretch. Donovan, of course, kind of provided that excellent pacing and those timely buckets that you just really need. And, he was pretty honest after game 4 against Orlando, saying, I just haven't been good enough. I haven't been assertive enough. I haven't been, that kind of tide that raises all boats. And ever since then, I think he's done just a terrific job of that. And, it's nice to see everybody step up in this way. Even Tristan Thompson turning back the clock again. Like, I remember Tristan in 2018, it looked like, there wasn't a whole lot left. Those finals runs, him playing through injury, that Ironman streak, he just didn't have a lot left in the tank. And he had the throwback performance in Game 7 against Indiana. I don't recall him having a huge series against Toronto, but then, turned it back on against Al Horford in Boston in the conference finals. To see Tristan, when Mobley gets in foul trouble, to get quality minutes and maintain that lead, I thought was so damn important. Because remember last year in Game 4 against the Knicks, the Cavs had a great chance to steal that game. Darius really powered them in the third quarter, had a great run, and then Mobley picked up a couple dubious foul calls, and they had nothing to go to in that instance, right? Like, there was no kind of backup 5. You couldn't go to, Robin Lopez in that spot. So having Tristan Thompson, who has stepped in and has given them valuable minutes throughout the regular season, have him do it on this stage in the playoffs, I think is great.
Yeah, well, first off, I'm so glad you made that point, because if you didn't, I was going to make it. Because, it just goes to show the difference between, vet leader that you can't really count on to play, and vet that you can say, hey, Tristan, we weren't expecting to play you at all today, and you probably knew that, because Morris came in at the 5 in the second quarter, and the game plan was not to go to you, but we need you, and we need you to just hold the freaking line. We have 5 minutes till the fourth quarter starts. That's all we need you to buy us, buddy. And that's exactly what he did. He extended plays, he made things ugly, he got to the free throw line, he defended his ass off on switches. And the Cavs are a +3 in those 5 minutes in the third quarter, and that's the ball game, man. That's the game. That stretch there was the difference, in my opinion, between Boston being able to make something of it and the Cavs absolutely shutting the door. And you got to give credit to the front office for that signing, where a lot of people rolled their eyes. When Tristan got signed, a lot of people, another big? Do we really need another big? Oh, it's now another sentimental hire, And it's like, no, Tristan has brought a lot to this team all season, and what a big moment. And you know what else it reminds me of, Justin, is the Dante Jones minutes against the Warriors. That 2-3 minute stretch where it's like, what? Dante's in, and he makes 3 winning plays. And helps us win a championship. Obviously the stakes are lower.
Reminisce just a little bit more?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mo Williams giving good minutes.
That
warmed my heart. When Delhi didn't have it, Mo coming in, the veteran that gave you so many good memories in the past. It just rocks, man. And having Richard Jefferson on the call, trying to hide his best that he's cheering for the Cavs in that game, that just warmed my heart.
Yeah, I mean, first off, RJ is a super duper star. He'll be calling finals games
He's so good
before
the
end of his color commentary career. But yeah, I mean, Tristan, I thought just held the line. He did more than that. They didn't just survive those minutes. They won those minutes. And that was just so huge. So proud of him. And again, I really want to save the guard talk for the back half because I kind of want to go long on those two. So I do want to give flowers to a couple wings for this team. Karras in the first half was, with Donovan and Darius playing a more passive game, not necessarily bad across the board, but just passive. I thought Karras's rim pressure was unbelievable. I was really proud of how decisive he was going to the hoop and not pivoting, not kind of fading away at the last second and trying to lay it in. A lot of dunks. He had like 2 or 3 dunks in this game.
Yeah.
And
kind of great to see him some burst when he's been dealing with that knee.
Yeah, and some of those no doubter layup angles that like leave nothing to chance. I thought he was an amazing scorer for them on a night where they really just needed some volume and they needed that pressure. They needed to suck the defense in just to kind of get things going. I mean, 21, 6, and 3 for Karras is just like, that is the kind of like that was Karras at his best. And like he's gonna have possessions where he gets got. I mean, Derek White absolutely shut his water off on a play or two, but like he just kept attacking. And that rim pressure, I thought, really helped buoy the offense during some dark times. And then in terms of a guy who did all of his damage off ball, how about Isaac Okoro? Hits another big 3 at the beginning of the game and gets a layup at the beginning of the game. It's almost the same script as game 1 for him, where he quickly made it kind of untenable for them to put Al on him, or made it hard for them to put Al on him. And this dude was just running the floor. He ran so hard in this game on every play, made it hard for their bigs to get back and stick with him. And I thought, and his defense on Tatum was again pretty incredible. So big shouts to those 2 wings, because I don't think we survive a quiet first half from Darius and Donovan without those 2.
Yeah, and as we talked about after game 1, before you so rudely interrupted us with your tornado warning, like Boston's ability to create in multiple positions is what makes them so difficult to defend. And I think you saw tonight, right, when Evan Mobley is giving you that playmaking, when Karis LeVert is giving you rim pressure as well as that playmaking threat. I think that's so important because it creates opportunities for Donovan and Darius. And really, when you look at the construction of this Cavs roster, what you want, like ideally, if it's going to function as intended, some nights it's going to be, okay, the defense is giving us opportunities for Evan to capitalize on, or Jared, or Darius, or Donovan. And they need to recognize that and be assertive in those spots in order to open up opportunities for other guys. And when the defense, recalibrates and goes over to somebody else, that's going to generate opportunities for other players. And I think that's why I was why I've enjoyed the fact that Donovan on this team has given the other guys the opportunity to, perform on this stage and be more aggressive, because having that understanding of how to play alongside other talent and learning how to kind of have the confidence in your own game to recognize those spots, to recognize the opportunity and capitalize, I think is really, really important for a player's development, rather than someone that, played in a situation where they're the lone cog in the offensive engine. They're playing alongside a lot of role players, and then 7-8 years in, all of a sudden you're adding other stars and they have to start from scratch of how to play alongside them. I understand it's frustrating when you get those growing pains along the way, but I think it's really, really important for a young team to kind of be put on this stage and to constantly be stress tested in this way.
Yeah, I just think you're seeing, you saw that all the guys kind of rise to the occasion in this game, and like, I think the next step is that level of dependability from game to game for these guys. But like, man, you see the ceiling, and I just feel like this was a you see the vision kind of win. Like, no matter how the rest of the series goes, like, you need wins like this to show that like what you're building is kind of you're paddling in the right direction.
Yeah.
first road playoff win for this core, and it's against a team that's been damn near unbeatable at home. You're down. You're two of your best, like maybe four guys for this matchup, and you win by 24, and you're up by damn near 30 in the final minutes of the game. I mean, just so damn exciting, man.
Yeah, and you're just hoping that you can sustain, right? Like you're hoping that the role players that stepped up in this game provide that kind of dependability, the type of dependability that we're used to from Zoom. Support for this podcast and the following message comes from Zoom. 500,000 businesses connect using Zoom, a single platform for phone, chat, workspaces, events, apps, and video. Zoom enables real-time collaboration for teams around the globe. Zoom, how the world connects. I think it's important that we celebrate these moments when you get kind of these signature wins, when you beat, the best team in the NBA on their home court. That's a great feeling. But you also have to kind of recognize as a team, this is something Miami did too. Miami won game 2 in Boston, and then Boston came back and won the next 3 games. Obviously, Cleveland still has a few more of their horses than Miami did. This game wasn't as much of an outlier. Miami just shot the hell out of the ball from 3 in that game 2 win. Cavs shot well from 3, but not necessarily at a high volume here. But I do think, getting this win, extending the series a little bit more. I saw Chris Fedor was kind of teasing the possibility of Dean Wade coming back in game 3. That would be significant. Obviously, we're hoping that Jared can come back too, because Boston's lone kind of run in this game was that time when Evan Mobley went to the bench to sit, and we had Marcus Morris out there with George Niang. I got to ask you, Carter, with Tristan kind of giving the minutes that he did, one, do you think he's kind of bought a spot in the rotation as the backup, begging at least in game 3? Because this is playoffs. It comes down to kind of a game-to-game situational type thing. If Jared and Dean are both out, do you think Tristan is the backup 5? And if Dean is back, do you think you just go with Dean as the backup 5 along with Marcus Morris instead, or how would you approach that?
Man, that's a tough one. I wasn't ready to think about game 3 at all yet. You're
welcome.
I think that Tristan probably gets the first crack. I think what you did learn with the centerless lineups is that you probably need Donovan out there because he's just the better isolation player. And if they're going to switch everything and put Xavier Tillman on the ball, then Donovan's probably better equipped to cook that mismatch right now than Darius is,
right.
and exploit the going 5 out. So I would probably give Tristan the first shot. I mean, I think Dean will likely eat the 30 minutes of Morris and Niang if he's able to give you that in short order. At least he'll get a shot at it. But man, that does kind of take me to the guards and Donovan and Darius in that third quarter, and I want to call it a couple things. Obviously, they go absolutely bananas. They go 7 of 8 from 3. They score 25 points. They just completely blow the doors off of Boston in that third quarter. By the way, third quarter offensive rating 156.5. And Donovan played all 12 minutes. And a 104.3 D rating. So a plus 52.2 net rating. The only reason they only won the quarter by 12 is that it was a pretty slow quarter. But they won the quarter 36-24, and it felt bigger and worse for the Celtics. Something I want to call out right away is Darius is taking the ball up the court. Donovan clearly wants the ball. He's clapping. He's excited for the ball. Darius waves him off and then has Okoro come up and set a screen, immediately flows into a pull-up 3 against Al Horford in the drop. And that just felt like such a tone setter. It felt like such a moment of no. I'm going to dictate the terms to you. You're insulting me with this coverage, and I'm better than to let you get away with it. I really loved the decisiveness of it. It was like he walked into that possession with no other plan in mind than to do exactly what he did. And I thought that was just amazing. And then what it really became the rest of the game was we're going to drag that big out of the paint, come hell or high water. We're going to make them come up to the level, and we're going to either cook the switch, which they did. Darius and Donovan did an excellent job of attacking switches when it was Horford or Cornette out there. Or, and here's the best part, Justin, my favorite part of the whole damn game was when Mazzulla said, shit, we just got to blitz these guys. We got to try to put 2 on the ball. And what have we been begging for the Cavs offense for now, 2.5 playoff rounds, is some way to get 2 on the ball so we can get defenses into rotation and our open 3-point shooters can hit. And Max Strus hits both of his threes on those sorts of rotations. They get Boston discombobulated. They get them stretched out and leaving the paint for easy attacks for guys like Isaac Okoro, cutting along the dunker spot. Like, the second Mazzulla put 2 on the ball, I was like, goose is cooked, baby. We got him. And that felt really good to see because we haven't been able to force that.
It felt great to see. And I like that you highlighted, Darius kind of calling his own number there, because Darius, I find, can get tunnel vision when it comes to running whatever the set play is. Like, sometimes he misses opportunities for himself because he's trying to, get someone else involved. Okay, we got someone that's coming from the weak side. I'm supposed to find him. And he's just so focused on the playmaking that sometimes he misses those opportunities. And, one of the things that we were hoping to get to after game 1 was the Isaac Okoro as a screener action really was getting the Cavs consistently good looks. I think that's the best way to keep Al Horford involved defensively and to try to challenge him and to try to play him off the floor. Because when Al Horford is out there, he changes the dimensions of Cleveland's defense, because you have to account for him, even though, you're going to live with him taking some threes. His ability to be a hub, to kind of make the right pass, his intelligence as a playmaker, all of that stuff makes Boston's offense run just a little bit quicker. And I think, by getting him into those defensive actions, by challenging him, it makes it harder for him to be out there on the floor. And like you said, if they are going to keep him on the floor because they're kind of making that, conscious decision of, we'll live with what he's taking away because of what he's bringing, you're going to start to see them bring 2 to the ball. You're going to see them try to compensate in other ways, and that's all going to open up those other opportunities for the Cavs. So to see Darius call his own number in those spots, I thought was great. Briefly mentioned it before, but for him to have just 1 turnover through 2 games, that's really damn important.
He had 2 turnovers tonight per ESPN.
It was... Oh, you know what? My box score says 1 still, but I'm sure the second one was that driving layup attempt where Jaylen Brown may have fouled him. I'm going to say he did foul him because, I'm biased as hell. But it looked like a field goal attempt they might have ruled as a turnover. But I thought he's done a really good job taking care of the basketball. And, the 1 turnover he had came after that Mobley grenade where Garland probably could have shot it and tried to force it back to him, and Drew got it. But, the defensive pressure, what Drew Holiday and Derek White are capable of doing, they can generate turnovers. Boston's really, really good at generating those turnovers. And for Cleveland, when you're at a talent deficit, when you're playing the best team in the league, you can't give them those extra possessions. The math battle is tough enough as it is. Taking care of the basketball and being responsible in those spots is so important. And, as much as I like Okoro as a screen setter and what he's been able to do, and I love his assertiveness, I like that he's hitting threes, I would like to see him contribute a little more on the boards and the playmaking and stuff like that. I'd like to see him stuff the box score a little bit more. But when it comes to, Darius recognizing those opportunities, I think that's going to be really important in game 3. I think Boston's going to come out with their best punch. They're going to try to regain control of this series. They're going to try to get home court back from the Cavs. And that's a real opportunity for Cleveland, where if all of a sudden, the role guys are all stepping up, the stars are doing what they're doing, and the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse is as loud as it can be, you can put some serious pressure on the Celtics. And, potentially, even if, you win game 3, Boston gets game 4, and it's going back 2-2, you're at least extending the series a little bit further and buying more time for Jared Allen to possibly return.
Yeah, and what's really cool about the fact that the Cavs were able to steal 1 is they didn't steal one the way Miami did, where their role players were just going bananas. I mean, non-Darius Donovan Cavaliers were 4 of 14 from 3. You know, they didn't have an awesome game shooting the ball. You know, Strus goes 2 of 7. You know, LeVert goes 0 of 3. You know, they it's not like they shot the cover off the ball. It's not like they shot a ton of volume. But again, like this is why I keep going back to, like, this is what the vision of the team was, and why I think it's been so hard to watch this team on offense in the postseason this year and last year, is like we just weren't seeing quarters like that third quarter where Donovan is just flowing into the pull up and attacking the rim in all the creative. Let me tell you, man, his knee must have been feeling good tonight, because the explosiveness, that buzzer beater at the end of the third, where he snatches the ball back and explodes to the left for the crossover, that was one of the most explosive finishes he's had. Then he also had that spin move into the layup that was also crazy explosive. Like, Donovan being a 3-level scorer, Darius keeping the offense going and bombing from 3 and hitting timely threes, like that. Just as much as you are right in saying that the bigs do need to, you know, the front court does need to kind of carry their own playmaking weight. The reality is the pressure and the stress needs to come from that backcourt. And man, did they put it on in the second half of this game, where they made Boston throw out what they wanted to do. And that just felt, I feel like that's the most meaningful win from this game, other than the win.
Yeah, that one's pretty good too. I think the guards are going to need to be very assertive in game 3. I think you're going to need to see kind of high volume shooting from Darius. I agree. I thought Donovan moved pretty well. It was a little scary to see him go down in the fourth there. And hopefully, you know,
come on, bro.
Yeah, hopefully that's, you know, just a small tweak and not like a serious re-aggravation. I thought he was moving around pretty well after that. I thought Darius was moving probably the best I've seen from him. That's an encouraging sign, is you know, that back's kind of been seizing up, and you know, there's fewer possessions, and you know, this is obviously reflected in the turnover numbers, but there's fewer possessions where he's leaving his feet without, you know, making a decision of what he's doing. And I think, you know, that puts him in a more, it makes it less likely for him to tweak his back, because he's making an adjustment midair and changing his mind. I just feel like the decisiveness has been better. He just needs to continue to crank up that aggressiveness. Just like we've seen from Evan Mobley, you need to make sure that Mobley is staying assertive. I'd like to see him, you know, more
decisive
involved.
Would be the word I would choose. I want to see decisiveness. I don't want to piddle around for either of them.
Yeah, I want Mobley to make quick decisions. You know, instances where he doesn't have an advantage initially on the catch, like do a move or two, but I don't want to see, you know, the multiple dribbles trying to back a defender down and the turnaround shot. Like I feel like when he makes a quick scoop in the lane or you know, a more decisive move, it has a higher likelihood of going in. The one shot I just never really feel great about is that turnaround after multiple dribbles, multiple, you know, pivots with the footwork and whatnot.
It's the 2-bump rule.
Yeah. At that point, you know, give it up, give it to someone else. If you're Darius or Donovan, same kind of thing. Like, don't try to be a hero off the dribble and break down Derek White or Drew Holiday. If you don't have an advantage, rotate the ball and try to get it off the movement. I heard JB multiple times through the broadcast, Mike, of telling them to push, tempo. And that's going to be something that they're going to need to maintain in game 3 as well, because, you know, this is a really, really kind of special opportunity for them. As much, you know, hand wringing as there was about the side of the bracket the Cavs were on, you know, Boston's going to have a chance to get Kristaps Porzingis back in the conference finals if they make it that far. This might be your best chance to upset the best team in the league. And if you can continue to apply that pressure, all of a sudden, you know, all the media narratives are going to be on them, right? All the question marks are going to be there. They did that after Miami's win, which, you know, was a far more outlier. It was all the same kind of questions about, oh, is Boston going to do it to themselves again, all over again? Here comes the zombie heat. Like, you want to be able to put that pressure on them. And, you know, Boston, I think we talk about how often shooting variance is a big part of it. They shot like crap. Cleveland shot well. I expect that to normalize a little bit, but it's just so nice to see good process and open shots get rewarded, because we've seen too frequently in these playoffs where the process is leading to poor results. And when you're not getting those results, it makes you second guess the process. And I think that's, just kind of getting that positive affirmations is really important.
Yeah, it might be one of those like light bulb games for this team where like, oh yeah, that's who we are.
God, I hope so, because if it's a backslide, that's going to be annoying.
Well, for sure. I mean, and I did want to ask you about the 3-point defense, because as I noted pregame, the Cavs actually did better in Game 1 of generating more wide open threes than Boston, and they shot better on them. But Boston just shot the cover off the ball on guarded threes. They were 42%. On their their guarded threes in Game 1. They go 8 of 35. There are 11 less 3-point attempts. I think they had 25 through 3 quarters, which obviously the back 6 minutes of this game were garbage time, so kind of hard to I'm kind of throwing out the fourth quarter a little bit. So they only get 25 threes through 3 quarters. Do you think it was the Cavs guarding them better? Do you think it was Boston playing with their food and shooting themselves in the foot? I mean, 35 isn't like a low output, but it is for Boston. What do you take away from that? And I do think I would like someone smarter than me to look at the film and tell me.
Yeah, that's always the downside of us doing this post game rather than when I get to do a rewatch. But I think it's a bit of both. Like, I think Boston to some extent did get baited into some of their worst habits where, they're trying to get those mid-range shots. They're trying to get to the lane. Jason Tatum just has not been effective so far as a scorer in the series. It's, it's amazing that his field goal percentage is this low when he's getting rewarded with free throws most of the time when he misses a layup. But, I just felt like they were trying to kind of generate that rim pressure, and the Cavs at the start of the game, the point of attack defense wasn't there, right? Like, there was a lot of breakdowns. The Celtics were getting, second and third passes into clean looks, and, the defensive pressure just wasn't necessarily there. And I thought the Cavs did a good job of locking in, running them off the line, making them second guess. Darius getting up. I noticed a few times where he was getting up on Peyton Pritchard's right hip to kind of, discourage that shot.
Darius took the Pritchard matchup personally this game. I think he did not like that Pritchard got it on him. He was up in his grill. Yeah, I was going to curse. I'm glad I didn't.
I thought he did a good job defensively overall. I thought everyone kind of, understood their assignment. And to start the game, like I said, the point of attack defense wasn't there. And when the point of attack defense isn't there, it makes it harder for me to analyze, where the true point of failure is. Because obviously, you have the original sin of guy got by his man and all of a sudden the defense is scrambling. But are they overhelping, or are they just out of position and it looks like overhelping as a result of that? Because it definitely felt like they were overhelping to start this game. And then actually when Al Horford went out of the lineup, I believe it was Luke Cornett that came in along with Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser. At that point, all of a sudden, it was like the Cavs kind of calmed down defensively. They were staying home. They were playing Boston straight up, and they never really got away from that. I felt like the integrity of the defense was much more sound from that point on. And I think that's going to be one of the kind of tug of wars of this series is there's going to be nights where you're playing sound defense, you're in position, and Boston's killing you. Do you overreact to that, or do you stay in position and live with the results? Because I think you have to live with the results, because the alternative is getting in scrambles. And when you get in scrambles, it's just going to lead to more open shots, and it's going to lead to those, anytime they do miss, the likelihood of a long offensive rebound only increases, in my opinion.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. And I'm just tooling around with the box score on NBA.com. First 6 minutes of the game, Boston has a 133 offensive rating. For the rest of the game, they have a 97.5.
Harder reading the internet. I love
97.5. I mean, like, so if you had not shit on me while I was in the middle of looking that up for the 1 second it took to load,
Felt long to me. Felt long.
It was 97.5 the rest of the game. Like, and that you can beat Boston if you keep them around that number. You just can't. And like that felt that, and I'm just really proud of the way they closed out. They attacked. You're right. I do think they just kind of stopped overreacting. They also did a really, the thing is, a lot of times when we talk about the competition and talk about game planning, we can be very reductive. It's like, you just gotta stay home, can't leave the shooters. And like, the reality of basketball isn't that you can ever be so orthodox or so black and white. Like, that can be like your guiding philosophy, but really what you gotta do is you gotta help smarter and help better. And I thought the Cavs did a great job of helping smart. And Mobley not taking 2 steps too many away to get, Horford got a couple wide open ones early, but for the rest of the game, he didn't. Yeah. Even though they were funneling every single driver into Mobley, he was still able to stay connected enough, which means that the guys at the point of attack were doing their job, and Evan was doing his job in terms of maintaining that balance, that very delicate balance of how far to help. Because the reality is, if you just stay home, you're just going to give up a parade of layups. These players are too good. You're not going to, especially with our smaller point of attack guys, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown can get to the rim. And they did at times. But, you have to help right. You just can't mess up. You have to play well. You have to play to your ceiling to beat this Boston team. And I thought they did a great job of that from that 6-minute mark onward.
You're right. Sometimes we are going to get reductive. And honestly, if the Cavs are able to extend the series, we're going to be repeating a lot of the same points. Because often it just does come down to execution, right? And I think this game was a very important proof of concept game for the Cavs. I think this is something you can kind of build on and learn from. And, you just hope that you can carry this momentum game to game. Playoffs are a really, really tough animal, man. Like, blowouts are more likely in the playoffs than they are in the regular season because, some games you just kind of lose track. You lose your grip of the rope and it goes sideways, right? Boston is absolutely a team that's capable of going out there and winning the next 3 games. But we saw tonight that Cleveland, when they do what they need to do, when they stick to their strengths, when they recognize the opportunities and don't take themselves out of the game, they have the ability to go out there and win a game against Boston and put the pressure on. And I think that is so damn important because even when, Cleveland lost those 2 blowout games in Orlando, we were sitting here saying, it sucks. It's going to induce panic here. But what the Cavs need to do is nothing that they haven't shown before. And that is true once again for Boston. What Cleveland needs to do to win games against the Boston Celtics is things that we have seen from each of the members of the Cavs individually. They just need to sustain it for 48 minutes, and they have to do it collectively. And I think, they are building in the right direction, and we are learning how to play, without Jared Allen. That's something that takes time when you lose a major piece in the playoffs. It takes time to figure out what everyone's roles and responsibilities are going to be. So, hopefully some reinforcements can come for game 3. That would make the crowd even louder. I'm very excited. Carter, any closing thoughts before I wrap this thing up?
I'm just really, really pleased we got a game like this. It just felt important. And no, Boston didn't play well. Yes, the Cavs played well, but you don't look a gift horse in the mouth. You have tied this series. And by tying the series, really what you did is you give yourself a chance in the series. I don't think this Cavs team, the way they're beat up, was going to beat this Boston team 4 out of 5 times. That's just really, really hard when you lose those first 2 games at home. There's a reason the percentages are outrageously skewed in that team with the lead's favor. And the Cavs have to your point, they didn't just open the window, they kicked through it. And now, they have a chance to take a series lead against a 64-win Boston team at home. So we'll see how they react. I'll be really interested to see what kind of adjustments Missoula makes, or if it's just play better, because there is a lot of play better for Boston tonight. Maybe Cavs will have some reinforcements on the way. Maybe Dean plays. So I'm just really excited for Game 3. I'm really glad that, frankly, I guess my real closing thought, Justin, is I'm now really invested in this series. I went from like kind of watching it pretty academically to like,
you were protecting yourself emotionally.
Yeah, a little bit. And like, there's some blood in the water now. So, and I'm now hyped, and I am emotionally invested after this one.
Yeah, friendly bit of advice: don't kick down windows, kick down doors. Much better, because that can lead to blood in the water, because you're going to get a bloody foot. Big thanks to everyone that tuned in live on YouTube. Really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Make sure you like and subscribe. Click the notification bell so you know when we're going live. If you're listening via podcast and you want to support us, leave us a rating, leave a review, subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, and help cook those books. If you want to be part of Chasedown's exclusive Discord chat, send a screenshot of the review to chasedownpod@gmail.com. However you choose to support us, we really do appreciate it. Make sure you guys are staying safe out there. Until next time, go Cats.